All right, welcome back to the channel here, and today I'm going to be going over on like my strategy and how I trade. I have been having a little bit of success this past 2 months here, and just wanted to show you how I trade and just the strategy that I use. Right, it might not work for you. Everyone has their own different strategies, their own mindset. This is definitely not ICT or any crazy knowledgeable type of stuff. I really try to keep everything as simple as possible. So let's get right into it. So what I do is I have levels marked out on the daily chart. Okay, so on the daily chart, and I can show you that I made a video previously, and I had a level marked out at 28,400. But this is the daily chart right here. Okay, so I have levels. So what I look for in a chart, especially the daily chart, I look for as many candles touching, the top or the bottom of the candles, right? So here on the daily candle, we start from the bottom to the top, and especially like where price is currently at, right? So we had on Thursday the lowest close since June 11th of 2026, right? So the close of this candle was 29,225.75. So I was like, okay, well, the level that I did want to see it bounce off of was 29,263. Why is that? So this candle here, 29,263 is a low. We see we bounced off of there. The next day we bounced off of there. The next day after that we broke below but closed above, which is good. So that level there is still relevant. This candle made a low of 29,274, so about 10 points away. We come up. Almost think people might have been thinking that we were going to retest the highs and then come back down. So what is it? Thursday, June 2nd, the low of that candle was 29,328, which is, let's see here, 40 points. So 50 points from, this level here. So still relevant. Right here, we traded above it. Right here, we broke below and closed above. So that level is still relevant. Right here, we broke pretty aggressively to the downside, but closed above. So that level is still relevant. And then here, right here, we made a low of 29,303. So about, 40 points away from this level here, and here. So on Thursday, when we closed lower than this 29,263 area, I knew there was a higher probability, because the game of trading, especially day trading, you're looking at probabilities, right? A lot of people might think trading is gambling, but I believe trading is a strategy, and trading is something that you can actually learn and, actually have an edge, right? A strategy. Gambling is, putting $100 in a slot machine and pressing the button, right? That's gambling. You don't have any control of the outcome. At least in trading, you can put on a trade, and if it goes against you, you have a stop loss, and then you can get out of it, right? You control how much money you lose. When you're gambling, you don't have control of how much money you lose or win, right? So when we broke on Thursday, my theory was correct. So I was like, okay, well, if we make a lower low, which would have been the low of this candle here, and I'll just turn that into purple just for reference. If we make a lower low there at 29,079, we're probably going to go lower. The high of this candle was 29,220. The low of the candle was 28,773. So let's just say 800 for round numbers. So what's that? 400 point drop? 28,400. Sorry. So that's 800 point move on this daily candle. 800 point move. So we broke 29,263. I had a level there at 28,800. So why did I have a level there at 28,800? Because on this candle right here, the high of that candle on, May 6th, the high of that candle was 28,800. Okay. So it was resistance, right? Because that next day we went above it, but closed below it. And then we broke above it, right? So once resistance means like the ceiling of that price. The market can't get through it, right? It's a resistance. It was resistance for 2 days. And then it shot through that ceiling or resistance, right? So once resistance is broken, it turns into support. Just remember that. Previous resistance equals current support. So, on the 8th of May, we go up, we close up here, 9th of May or 11th of May, which is Monday, make a little bit higher high, close up, and then Tuesday, May 12th, we come all the way back down to where previous resistance was, right? We broke below, right? So the low of that candle was 28,741, so a 60-point break from 28,800, but we still closed above, so that level is still relevant. We made higher highs here, came down. This candle right here, low of that candle, 28,814. So 14 points away from support, which would have been a really good buy opportunity. Right here, also 28,663. It's 140 points below that current support spot, but we closed above, so that level's still irrelevant. And then on Wednesday, the 20th of May, the low of that candle was 28,796. So 796, 4 points from the support level. Another buying opportunity for the MNQ here, or QQQ, right? If you don't trade futures, you can also trade stocks or ETFs. So what happened there? So after we bounced off of it 1, 2, 3, the fourth day, that was the breakout day, right? So breakout, well, not technically yet, because this would have been the breakout day here on Tuesday the 26th, a couple of days after. But we had a bounce 1, 2, 3, 4 candles here, right? Can you see it right here in this area? So we go up, whatever, and then on Friday, June 5th, the low of that candle, 28,778. So 22 points from it broke, right? But it closed above. Again, here, 28,821 was a low. Here we had a pretty aggressive sell to the downside, but still closed above. So that's support. Here we actually closed below, and we did make a lower low. That would have been a very, very tricky trade there on the 11th of June. But you can see that we almost made like a double bottom here. A double bottom. It's not going to be perfect, obviously. Not everything's super perfect here. But we bounced off of that 28,000, almost 250 area, because the bottom of this candle was 28,227, 28,264. So about 10-point difference. Well, never mind. 40-point difference. But that could have been a double bottom, right? Double bottom. So we broke that 28,800 for 1 day, 2 days here, and then we came back to the upside. And then we retested all-time highs after that. We had a huge gap up to the upside. So come Thursday, we broke. I'm like, okay, we might find a bounce spot here on 28,800. So let's go down to the 5-minute candle here on Friday. So here's the 28,800. Let me get rid of this. And what did price action do? Obviously, this was in Tokyo session. What did price action do when we got to 28,800? So we go here, we come all the way down to 28,775, so 25 points, and we try to bounce up, right? And we're bouncing, breaking above and below that 28,800. And then we started crashing down, right? Crashing down. So that is telling us that, hey, we're higher probability we're going to break lower, right? Because right here, so this low right here of 28,773, we had a little bit of a bounce. There were some buyers there. We broke, and then we started bouncing and trading above and below. But once we started breaking that session low there of 28,773, that's when you knew, okay, we might see lower prices, which we did. We went all the way down to 28,727, which was 50-point move there, which would have been a nice winner. And then started trading sideways. So once you see sideways action, trading action here, means the move's gonna be over with, right? The move's done. We might either have a breather before we start breaking lower, or we're gonna reverse. And here, this actually happened, a reverse. We broke above 28,800, and then we broke below. Okay. So another level that you could have been looking at if you were trading, it looks like almost London session here, was this level here, low of this candle, or the more candles it touches, the better. So we could have been looking at 28,731. So once we start breaking 28,731, probably a higher probability of the market going to the downside. So we broke here, we came back up, but then we started slowly breaking to the downside. And this would have been a little tricky trading this, because you don't have, a red candle here, a doji candle, a hammer candle, doji candle, closing on our lows here. We shoot back up, and then we just drop, which was pretty crazy drop here. So high of that candle, 28,679. Low of that candle, 28,580. So about a 100-point move there in 5 minutes. That's a pretty big move there in 5 minutes, right? And I think that, that's 3:15 a.m. on Friday morning. So yeah. So where did we look at getting short? I wish I could show you where I got in short, but I was trading over here, and I actually was up because I went long, because I'm like, okay, we have a huge move to the upside. We have a 3 candle waterfall, and then we were slowly grinding to the upside. I went long here on Friday morning. It was about 5 o'clock when I woke up, and then I got out for a couple, I think like $80 or $100 winner. And then I shorted on this move, on this pullback. So I shorted. I'm like, okay, we're pretty close to 28,800, and I know not everything is perfect. So I'm going to go in short. I went in 7 micro contracts, or MNQs, and then we go and break over 28,800. And then I was like, okay, we're breaking over 28,800. This has a higher probability of it moving further, because that was a previous resistance / support. And I was like, well, I knew I should have waited. But right here I get stopped out, because this candle broke above. So this candle right here broke above and closed high of 28,815, and then this candle made a higher high. So once I see that, once a candle breaks above or below, either way, in this case above a resistance spot, and then the next 5-minute candle makes a higher high, there's a higher probability that it's going to keep going higher. So that's what I look at when especially when we're trading around areas that I'm looking at, or levels that I'm looking at. So this was a little tricky here. I knew I should have waited short, but then, the market was like rejected here. So right here, this is the candle that I actually got in, and actually got in pretty heavy, 5 micro contracts. I sold, I think 4 on this right here, and then I sold another one around 28,558. I did, I believe, record a video that I had, or a screenshot. Let me show you that screenshot here. I actually do have screenshots on my X account here. So if you are over on X, make sure to follow Ram Trades X. So same handle. So I did have my take profit at 28,400, I believe. Let's see here. No, I actually did not. Okay, so here's a screenshot. Let me switch over. Here's a screenshot of my of that exact trade that I was in, right? So we hit the double top, and this is the 15-minute chart, so you don't really see that pullback. That pullback was on this 15-minute candle here. Where am I at? Okay, here we go. So that pullback was on the 15-minute candle there, and then we shot up. We made a double top, so that's called a double top, which means there's two. So this could be considered a double top here, and then this also could be considered a double top with this one and this one combined. So that's a double top, and then we rejected. So once we started rejecting, I was long here at 28,758. So 28,758 here, and then I had, this was my take profit, and then take profit here, and then my stop loss. I think I got filled around that 28,600 when we pulled back up to the upside on that first 5-minute candle. So I'll go back to the chart, and let me move this back down. All right, so we'll just keep it there. All right, so first 15-minute candle, I got stopped out, and we had a super aggressive move to the downside. So the high of that candle was 28,685. Low of that candle was 28,408. So 28,685. That's what, so almost 700. So that's almost a 300-point move to the downside, right? And to be honest, I was a little nervous trying to go long here on that 28,400, just because I was like, the market has moved down so fast, and we've had such a big move to the downside overnight. This probably could have been a simple trade. I was like, okay, I'm gonna go in 2, 3, 4, 5 micros, and if it breaks below 28,400, I can get out really quick, right? Because I know it's gonna go lower. But the low of that candle, 28,408. Man, I regret not taking that. And why did I have a level there at 28,400? So let's go back to the daily. MNQ. Okay, I was gonna be like, no, all my drawings are. And like I said in the beginning of this video, the low of this candle, 28,410, right? We had 1, 2, 3 candles trade above and below that area. So that could have been a really good trade there, and didn't take it, unfortunately. So, and it's also a whole dollar level. So whole dollar levels, they're going to be sort of a resistance / support level either way when you go on the MNQ, and if you trade it long enough, you'll notice that it respects those levels. But after it hit 28,400, it went up all the way up to $28,900. So a 500-point move on the MNQ here, or the NQ. If you would have taken one contract at 28,400 and sold closer to 28,900, that would have been a $10,000 gain in one trade if you could have held for this volatility here. And they were all green candles on the 5-minute, right? This candle might have made you a little nervous, but it was breaking intraday highs here, and then made a higher high. So I was like, oh, okay, let's move our stop loss here at the bottom of this candle, and you never would have been stopped out, until nope, not even then. So that would have been a really good trade. That could have been one of my probably not A+ setups, but a setup where I could have been like, okay, we're going even like after here, like even if we made a higher high here, once we made a higher high here, I'm like, okay, well, my stop loss can be a under 28,400. But even then, if I would have gone long here at 28,000, say like 525, that's still a 100-point move, which would have been, $250 on one micro contract, which would have been a lot of money. But didn't take it. And then, so I was down 600 in this area here, and then I shorted. I was up 400 on this move to the downside. And then I was like, okay, we're coming up to 28,800. Let's see if I can go in short to see if we can make a triple top. So 1, 2, let's see if we can make a triple top here. 3, and we kept going higher. So I was like, okay, I got stopped out. I think I lost a couple $100 there. I was like, okay, we're going higher, so let's go long. And then we come back down all the way down here until 28,761. So this area right here was super tricky to trade for me. It happens. I mean, nothing's ever perfect, and no trader, not even professional traders, they don't ever not lose money, right? They lose money, right? And this was traded on my pro funded account with Take Profit Trader. I got chopped up right here, and just look at this candle right here. Low of that candle, 28,788 to 28,895. So that's 110-point move there, which that's $200 on one micro. If you were in heavier, you would have been down a lot more, or if not blown up just in this area. But we come back down and look at the support and resistance levels, right? So we went all the way up to 28,900. Then we come all the way down. What is this level, or what did price action respect? The high of the first 15-minute opening range. So 28,685 was the high of this candle. So we went here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 candles. So that would have been 30 half hour just trading sideways, which could have been pretty like annoying to trade, because I don't really like trading sideways price action. But then we had shot up, right? Once we shot up, I wasn't trading any of this, but nice move back to the upside. It got all the way, the market got all the way back up to 29,050 and then sold off in the afternoon. We tried to bounce off of 28,800, came up, we broke down, resisted it, broke above, and then we're down below. We closed below 28,800. So that is how I trade. So first of all, we're looking at daily levels. What is the daily chart telling us? Where are the support and resistance areas? Second, intraday. I really like marking out the first 15-minute candle, meaning that strategy is called the 15-minute ORB strategy, or the 15-minute opening range breakout, which here you could have had an 15-minute opening range breakout, or a retest. Once you get a retest of that opening range breakout, which we did right here, you could have gone long down here, and sure, you would have traded sideways, but your stop loss could have been 28,000, 50, something like that. Maybe down here, 28,580, maybe 28,600. Obviously, you need smaller size, especially when the volatility is this big. 400, 500, 300 point swings. You need to size down, or else you're going to blow up a lot of accounts. So first, daily candle, support resistance on the daily candle, daily chart. Second, intraday's 15-minute opening range. I marked those out. The market usually does respect those areas. And then third is confirmation of your trade, right? So on this candle here, why did I go long when we were highs? So this candle here, I'm like, okay, let me see where this candle closes. We had sellers, sure, but we made a higher high, confirmation candle. That's what I wait for when I try to get into into a position, right? So for this example here, that my confirmation candle would have been this next 5-minute candle, right? Why? Because when we bounce off of a support level here and we close on our highs, and then we made a previous high here, and this candle you could have got in here at 28,000 or 28,519. You could have got in market order, had your stop loss down here at 28,400, which would have been obviously a bigger stop loss, but you never would have hit that stop loss. And that was my confirmation candle. Why? Because it is making a higher high after we bounced off of the support level. So those three things that I watch for before I enter a trade. And then I usually try not to counter trend trade, but in this example, it would have been a perfect example to be able to trade in a counter trend, because obviously the trend was going down, but we hit a major support level, and then we went up. So again, daily support and resistance on the daily candle or on the daily chart. Second, intraday, we're seeing where the first 15-minute candle closes, and mark those out. I usually mark them out green, the bottom or the top green and the bottom red. And then third, price action and confirmation. Can we get a confirmation candle? Can we make a higher high? Is what I usually look for, or a lower low. In this example here, and I actually did take this trade. Once we started breaking down, we rejected 28,800 and closed lows. So that's very, very good price action to let me know that there is sellers up here, right? There's sellers up here, and that was a resistance or support. It was a support level, but then it turned into resistance. Traded sideways, and then finally got that flush to the downside, which was awesome, picture perfect. And I probably should have been done and locked myself out of that funded account, but then ended up losing 1,500. I only have $90 of drawdown on that account, which sucks. The good thing is, though, I did pass another evaluation account with Take Profit Trader on Friday. So Monday we'll have a fresh, brand new one. But yeah, that's pretty much how I trade. I don't know if that made sense to anybody, but like I said, I like to keep it as simple as possible. And with this volatility, I would recommend everybody size down. If you trade NQ, size down to MNQ. Go 5 contracts and lower, because I could have made a lot of money on Friday, but I got chopped up and I was getting frustrated up here. So that's what happens when you don't follow your rules, when you don't follow your plan. That's usually when I start losing money. But hopefully that all made sense. If you want to learn more about trading the way that I trade, maybe it resonates to you. If you have any other questions of how I trade or what I trade or how I learn trading, whatever it is, make sure to hit a comment down below. And I can make more educational videos as well. So just let me know if that works, or if people want to see that more. I know I just make more videos on like recaps and everything like that, but I'm just documenting my trading journey, and I've been trading for 2.5 years, going on 2.5 years now. And then we've had a couple of payouts. My last payout was June 30th. So like going on 3 weeks now. It was a small payout. That next day I did have a $400 winner, but then I should have locked myself out. I could have got another payout that next day of $400 minus the 20%. I would have got $380 or no $320. So could have got another payout, but I ended up blowing up that account, so I had to restart. Passed an account on Thursday, traded it on Friday, then passed one on Friday, and then we were traded on Monday. So just documenting my journey, and then seeing if I could help anybody out there that's listening or watching. But hope you enjoy this content, And if you have any questions, just you can leave a comment down below. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.